Hey everyone, this is Chris and Sandy with the Chris and Sandy Show. And today, like I say on every episode, we got a great one for you. Who do we have?
We have Shanda Tripp with us today. She is a mother, pastor, author, sought after inspirational speaker, and visionary. She, along with her late husband, have ministered globally, and she founded Love from Music City, a nonprofit determined to change foster care in America and serve orphans abroad. Her first book, She Was Healed, will release on November 4th.
And we're excited to talk to her about all that and then some more. So welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Chris and Sandy. What a joy.
Yeah. I always like to start the show kind of same way. Last few years have been rough for a lot of people. But doing what you do as an organization, I'm sure it was rough for you, especially with the pandemic. So tell us how it affected what you've done through the years and what have you done to maneuver through that craziness?
Well, for starters, thank you for having me. And our organization, Love for Music City, we help orphans. And in America, orphans are called foster care children. They're still orphans, but they just have a different name.
Yeah. Yes, and right.
I was actually raised on the mission field to Mexico and Haiti. So I say I was kind of raised in the family business. And what my parents did for 50 years, I've been able to build on. And about a decade ago, we founded Love for Music City. But it's a lifetime of work of my parents that we are piggybacking on. And so to answer your question, through the pandemic, no one stopped needing to be fed. No one stopped needing, medical care, all of that. So we just had to do whatever we could do to keep the funds coming in. We have 3 orphanages in Haiti. One is exclusively for handicapped children. And it is not like I partner with another ministry or another entity and we send them money when we can. We literally own the properties.
Oh, wow.
I pay the taxes, pay the utilities. If my only option would be to tell the children, sorry, we don't have enough money, we can't feed you. So that's just not an option. And so we've just done whatever we could to keep everything going. And no, it has not been easy. But as you know, life has still, people still need to be fed. Children still have to be helped. So where there's a will, there is a way. And thankfully to our sponsors and our partners, the ones that hung on with us, we've made it. I'm not going to say that we, did anything extra, but we survived. So I'm thankful.
So because of the pandemic, has more foster kids come through the system?
Yes. Oh, yes. We are in a national crisis in America for foster care children. There is a mental health crisis. And so through COVID, during the last couple of years, the number of foster parents went down because they were having internal problems, no job, whatever, right? And then the intake of foster care children has went through the roof, not to mention the border crisis that we have. I live in Tennessee, and we've had hundreds of children brought from the border to Middle Tennessee, dropped into our foster care system, which was already overloaded. We already don't have enough foster homes for our kids. Tonight, there will be children sleeping on the conference tables in Middle Tennessee in the DCS offices, which it's awful to think about.
That's so sad.
By law, a DCS worker is only supposed to have 20 cases. That would be 20 children.
Right. 20.
Right now in Middle Tennessee, just 2 days ago, I spoke with someone, a former DCS worker who just walked away from her job because she had 82 families, not just cases. She had 82 families, and lots of children that go into foster care are sibling sets. So you're probably talking close to 200 children. How can one person manage all of that? So it's too much. So they quit. So then we have even a greater problem. So the need is growing, but I believe that Americans are rising up and deciding that enough is enough, and we've got to take care of our own. That's what I'm believing for.
Now, do they contact y'all, or how does that work for you connecting with the help out with that?
Well, 11 years ago, my husband and we had founded a church, the Fireplace Fellowship in Middle Tennessee. And I was watching the news, of course. I told you I was raised on the mission field. So Orphans has always been my biggest heart tug, if you will, right? So I'm watching one of those news stories, probably like you've seen, where it tells about the foster children taking their items from house to house in a trash bag. And it was so sad. I think, you know, it was a major network news story. It was so sad. It grabbed my heart. And this feeling swept over me like, we got to do something. So someone from our church went down to DCS and asked if we could do something for Christmas. And the answer was no, because of the separation between church and state. Crazy.
Right.
So when that person came back to me from DCS, honestly, I hate to admit it, but I was relieved, because I was kind of like, well, we tried, can't do it. So, you know, I get my Good Samaritan badge and just kind of wash my hands of it. It was just a very short time after that an amazing door opened with an entity called Camelot. Camelot places children for DCS. It would be like a subsidiary. There's many, I've come to understand, there's many organizations like Camelot. There's Youth Nations. There's just all kinds of different ones. So that door opened with Camelot. And that year, 11 years ago, we helped 60 foster care children. And Camelot didn't care a thing about separation of church and state. They laughed at that. They're like, we'll take donations from anybody. So that opened the door, and I was very proud. This last November of 2021, I personally got a call from the DCS, the county where I live, and they asked us for help. I was like, wow, I've come a long way. And in 2021, we were the exclusive provider of Christmas gifts for all of the children, all the foster care children in our county. And we touch several counties, if you know what I mean. We help many counties, but we were the exclusive one in my personal county where we live. So we've come a long way. It took 11 years, but that barrier is broken. And also, I think the need is so great for foster children right now. But let me just inject. Love for Music City is a non-religious nonprofit. We still have our church, the Fireplace Fellowship, but Love for Music City is a second non-religious entity that we founded. And we have been very blessed by the country music community, has been very generous to us. And so I think there's a grave misconception that the government can take care of foster children completely. They can't. There's not enough money in the world even to get it done. It takes people.
You could tax everybody in the U.S. and it still wouldn't be enough.
It is not going to be enough. It's going to take a mother's love, a father's love. It takes a genuine care from another human being. And that's what we're missing right now. So I hope that answers your question.
I love it. So what you're doing now and everything, from being a pastor to running a nonprofit and all that, is this what you've always wanted to do from little, or how did that transition happen?
Well, when I was really young, I had one desire, and that was to not do what my parents did. It was kind of funny how things happen in life. But by the time I was 15, 16 years old, I knew I would carry on my parents' work, and I would sit and think about how I would do what they do, but do it better, kind of thing. And not to belittle them, but just how my mind would work. And so I always knew that that I shared the same call, or compassion probably would be a better word, that my parents did. And then I never dreamed, though, that we would have a church. I believe me, I am 49 years old, and I would have never dreamed I would be where I'm at this place in my life. But my dad used to say, when you see a need and you find yourself saying somebody needs to do something, normally that somebody is you. So probably because of my upbringing, I see the need, and I don't see many people doing much about it. So we're tackling it, and I'm trying to break it down where there's baby steps and ways for others to get involved. Because if everybody did something, we would solve the problem.
If everybody just did a little bit.
Exactly. But it's so overwhelming, and people don't know what to do. So then we just kind of don't do anything. And I think that Americans are good. They do care about our children. They do care about our teenagers, but it's so impossible. Most just say, oh, well,
and the
I
red
can't be a foster parent. So, well, you know,
and the red tape and all that is crazy too. I mean, like even with adoption, you know, how many parents do you know that goes overseas to adopt because it's just,
isn't it crazy? Yeah. As a matter of fact, I was blessed to just get to be a part of a meeting with our Senator Farrell Hale, is his senator, one of our senators from Tennessee, and he is determined to change adoption. And so I just want to give kudos to him because he sees that need. And again, there are people who are working, but even to adopt, it's next to impossible. It's crazy, the red tape that you have to go through. So again, somebody's got to do something.
You know, we own the name babyfunding.com, and our original plan was to create like a crowdfunding site for people who want to adopt but can't afford it, and people who also want to trying to get pregnant, and IVF stuff is so expensive and all that. So I thought, and I've owned the name for years, but never have done nothing with it. But I feel like there's still a need for that, you know, because babyfunding.com, you can't get no better domain than that.
That's right. Yes, there's definitely a need. And I don't want to get political, but the whole abortion thing and Roe v. Wade changing, and I definitely am a right to life person, but I also am not a person that's going to parade around about right to life when there's so many children who need help right now. So the same people who are fighting for right to life, you need to pause and help with the children that we already have present. And I'm not saying don't fight your causes, but I'm saying we have plenty of situations that, again, if everybody would do something, we would see some change.
And that's the hardest part, is getting anybody to do something.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah. Now they'll pray for you. They'll tell you good job. You know, I get a lot of that. But what we need is people who actually donate. I'm sure that's what you need for your baby funding. People who actually want to put your money where your mouth is, or your volunteer hours where your mouth is, and actually get involved. There is a DCS in every county in America, and I promise you they need help.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your book.
My book, She Was Healed, is an idea that I'd been working on for a few years. And my mother-in-law, Edith Tripp, her and my father-in-law, Laverne Tripp, were pioneers in the gospel music world, the gospel television world. They were on a network called Trinity Broadcasting Network. They had a weekly show for over 25 years. And my husband grew up on Christian television. And so my mother-in-law and my daughter, who is 20 years old, who has a gift to write, they both contributed to the book. So it's 3 generations of women sharing their stories of how you can overcome. My mother-in-law had an amazing life. She was born dead. Her husband, my father-in-law, was a drug addict and alcoholic for many years. She survived all of that. And so she shares some stories she's never even told before.
Oh, wow.
And then my daughter, who's 20, she has a different perspective. She's been raised in a minister's home, and so she contributed a couple of chapters as well.
Did you know every story of your daughter, or was any of them surprise for you?
No, I didn't know. Yeah, she just wrote it, and some of it's not fun to read as a parent, to be honest, because you think you're protecting your child from everything, but it's impossible to protect your child from everything and everybody. I heard a saying, if God wants to bless you, he uses people, but if the devil wants to hurt you, he uses people. So people, right?
Yep. And hurt people.
And hurt people. That's exactly right. So the book is taken from Luke chapter 8, is a story of the woman with the issue of blood who pressed through the crowd. And she made a decision to press through 12 years of opposition in her life. And she pressed her way to Jesus, and she was healed. And that's the only time in the Bible that those 3 words are said, she was healed. Wow. But the woman with the issue of blood was. And so we took that premise because she made a decision, and she said, if I can touch the hem of his garment. So your self-talk, what you believe, what you know, makes a big difference in what's going to happen in your life. Because if you let people stop you, they will. Yep. And you have to make a decision to do something about your life. And you're the only one who can do it. So that's what the book is about. And it'll be available everywhere books are sold. It is available November the 4th. So thank you for letting me come on here and talk about it. It's my first book. So this first time I've done that part of this. We've been helping children my whole life, but the book is a new endeavor, but I'm excited about it. And I think I hope that it will bless a lot of people and break it down to baby steps, how you can see a difference in your life.
Talking about the healed, I remember I went through 19 years of addictions until God
Wow.
healed me almost 15 years
Wow.
ago now. And I remember that morning, December 7th, 26th, 2007. I remember waking up, first time I ever got drunk on a Christmas day. So I'm waking up the day after. And I knew something had to change, and I was pleading with God, because I was like, I knew she deserved so much more. I knew I was about to destroying the marriage. We were 5 years in at this point in our marriage, and she went through a lot. She always uplifted me. She never nagged me, never put me down, never done none of that. But I remember sitting there pleading with God. And I remember feeling like a nudge where God was like, because I asked, can you please take the desire away? I didn't want to be one of these to go day by day. I knew I couldn't do that. It's like, just take the desire away. And I remember feeling like he said, give him 30 days. And now I'm sitting there questioning my head, like, okay, am I going crazy? Yeah. Why would God need 30 days? And now what I didn't understand then that I understand now is every miracle in the Bible was preceded with some form of obedience. My obedience was those 30 days.
That's right.
And it's crazy because I've been almost 15 years completely sober, have zero desire.
Isn't that wonderful? Thank God. That is wonderful. But you said every miracle was preceded by some sort of obedience. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
And I would also call that obedience action, something on your part. People are waiting on their miracle, their finances to change, their healing, whatever it is, to come and hit them over the head while they're sitting on the couch watching TV eating ho-hos. It's not going to happen. There's an action on your part that you have to pursue. And that's why we wrote the book, She Was Healed. So hoping that people will be stirred to pursue the greatness that is out there for you, but it will not come and hit you over the head.
And it don't come. And that's perfect lead in to where I want this to go now.
All right.
Because as you know, a lot of people, they see the glory in everything you do. It looks like you're on top of the world, but they don't see the grind, the sacrifice, the tears, the struggles it takes to get any level within the business world, the entertainment world, so to speak. So I want to talk about that. What are some of the sacrifices and struggles you and your late husband have had to go through to even build what you got today?
Well, I don't think you got a long enough show for me to go into it. But I will tell you that in 2000, I married the greatest man ever, Rob Tripp. He's a Grammy Award-winning producer. Like I said, he was raised on Christian television. His talent there's no end to his talent. He produced probably hundreds of gospel records, played on some country music as well. He was a drummer. And also we founded the church in 2004. He was raised in gospel music, traveled on a bus, singing the whole thing. And in February of last year, it was a Saturday, we were at the church getting ready for Sundays. If anybody knows what pastors do, usually on Saturdays, they're preparing. He had just ran to a box store to do a simple errand, and he stepped on a screw in the parking lot. And long story short, we thought everything was fine. There wasn't even, it quit bleeding. It wasn't even no big deal. It was on the ball of his foot area. And that was in February. And in May, he had infection, had gangrene in his foot, and we did not know it. So he had emergency surgery. And then from May to November, he had been to the doctor every single week without fail. He was under a doctor's care. He was doing everything they said to do. And infection had taken over in his body, and they did not catch it. And he went into cardiac arrest November the 9th. And he had just had all these tests done about his heart. They told me his heart was clear. It's like, how did he go into cardiac arrest? Well, now I know it's called sepsis. And when sepsis is in your body, it wears down your major organs, which is your brain, your heart, your lungs, and your kidneys. So the infection in his body for months had been wearing down his major organs. Therefore, he went into cardiac arrest. And he ultimately died a month later. So that was last December. And so I'm not even a year in past my husband's going home to be with the Lord. I was 48 when he died. Our son was 16, a junior in high school, and our daughter was 20 in her second year of Bible school. So if I ever would have. And meanwhile, the book was already finished,
Oh, wow.
setting up the publisher
wow.
before he went into the hospital. And the book, she was healed, and then all of this happened to me. I mean, it was just crazy. Like, you know, like that's the last book I would have written, if you know what I mean, going through all of that, because I did not feel,
because I guess it gave you mixed emotions.
Exactly. So I had to make a decision, and it goes back even to the woman. She said, I know I will be made whole if I touch the end of his garment, hem of his garment. So what do you know? So I've been tested beyond words as to what I know, what I believe, what I stand for. I've had to continue to support our children in Haiti, continue to do our foster care work, whether I felt like it or not. Believe me, nobody would have even have questioned if I would have hit the bed, take the Xanax, and never come up again. I've had every excuse. But I already knew, I did know, and I can say that with 100% confidence. I knew that Jesus is my Savior, and that my calling, what I've been put on the planet to do, it is not dependent on any other person. As much as I love my husband would want me to go on. And my children did not deserve to bury two parents, even if one of them they didn't bury for a few more years, but both of them died. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people walking around that died many years ago. They just haven't been buried yet because they gave up on their dream, on their calling, on their potential, whatever you want to call it. But there is something for you to do. We are to live life, a blessed life, a fulfilling life, but it's not that it comes without sorrow. In this life, we will have tribulation.
I mean, and it has to come with both, because if you can't experience pain, you'll never experience joy. They both go hand. That's like this year's, you know, we've been blessed more than we've ever had in our marriage this year on many different fronts. But then but the pain side that's come this year is on March 1st, my dad passed away. Then a couple months later, her mom passes away.
Yeah, May 27th.
And so like back to back, and then they were the last living grandparents for our kids. And
and they're
10 and 3.
10,
and so it's, you know, so that part's been hard. And it's like, so you almost feel guilty when you're enjoying life a little bit, because you're like, you should be mourning, but no, but we still have to live. And so it's
you have to make a decision, because it's not what happens to us, it's our response to what happens to us. Because everybody, if you live long enough, you're going to go through something.
Yes.
And I remember Stephen Furtick said, with every blessing comes some type of curse.
Wow.
And he says, if you look at every blessing in your life, there's some type of other side of that they kind of go hand in hand. And if you didn't have the blessing, that wouldn't be there.
Give and take.
So it's like if, you know, so it's like you get the pain, but also you get the promise. But you can't get one without the other. That's
right. If Jesus hadn't went to the cross, there would be no salvation for us. Yep. So, you know, you can go down that path a long way, and that's what helps us get our answer to our problems in life. It's like you can't just throw your hands up and quit and just crawl in a hole and die, or become an alcoholic or a drug addict, which is what many do. And going back to the foster care, unless we solve the drugs and alcohol problem, we'll never solve the foster care problem. So we have to come up with a way to help the foster children stop the cycle, so they don't turn into drugs and alcoholics. I like to say we're fighting crime, prostitution, drug addiction, homelessness, because if we can catch them while they're children, we'll stop them, prevent them from going into a life of crime and alcoholism and addiction, thus the cycle continue. So thank you so much for having me on today. I hope everybody will go check out our website, lovefrommusiccity.org. And I don't think I mentioned yet, but we're having a gala November the 3rd. I don't know if you heard about that. November the 3rd. The Queen of Bluegrass is going to be there, Rhonda Vincent. We're going to give her, she is the recipient of the Bill Anderson Icon Award this year. And it's going to be a very special occasion. And that's November the 3rd. Then November the 4th, the book drops. So we got some good stuff happening finally. I feel like I'm due some happiness a little bit, some good things to start happening. But we have definitely endured and we've pressed forward. So, and I'm so thankful to our team, to everyone at our church who has come beside me and helped. And I probably wouldn't be here. It doesn't matter who you're connected to. Let me tell you, it does matter.
It does. Absolutely.
Love that. We really enjoyed having you on today.
We did.
And we look forward to having updates as you grow.
Yes.
All right. Well, if you're ever in Nashville, come check us out. But lovepremusiccity.org, you can find out about the gala, you can find out about the book, and we would love to have anybody help us. This Christmas, we'll be taking care of several hundred children, and all of that takes money.
Yes.
So I hope that someone might be listening that may want to partner with us or find out more about how we have a vision to change foster care all across America. What we're doing in Middle Tennessee, we want to see it done across America. So just contact us if you're interested about any of that. But thank you so much, Chris and Sandy, for having me on today.
Thank you for your time of being here. We definitely appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.